And then Allah Azza wa Jal goes on to promise us, كُلُّ شَيْءٍ هَالِكٍ. Everything will perish. Allah has created everything in this life for it to perish one day. It was never meant to exist permanently. It will all disappear, except the face of Allah Azza wa Jal. And I would let you hear what's going on in the graves. The Prophet ﷺ said, but if I did so, I'm afraid you would never bury anyone ever again. Allah has made one promise to every single human being. كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every soul will taste death. And the word that Allah uses is so beautiful. ذَائِقَة. You'll taste it. Because it's not the end. It's just the beginning. Death is only the beginning. But it is a promise that Allah has made to every single human being. Be negligent. How long will you neglect Allah Azza wa Jal in your life? How long? Do you think you have enough time to keep doing it? Death's not going to send you an email, a text message. It's not going to give you any warning. You die only once. So you can live your life however you want, but you will die one of two ways. And that decision is all in your hands. You can't blame anyone for that, except for yourselves. And then they will place this angel back in the grave, gently. And the interrogators of the Akhirah, the last trial of the believers will occur. The angels Munkar and Nakir will enter. And if this believer has lived his life the way Allah wanted him to, then his salah will come and stand next to his head. And I'm hoping I'm getting all four of these right. His sadaqah will come and stand next to his side. His good deeds will stand by his feet. And when the angels come to approach his head, these good deeds will say, you can't come from here. Because these angels are interrogators, they're rough. Allah created them with no mercy. The salah will say, you can't have entry here, we're protecting him. When they go to the side, you can't come this way. His good deeds, his sadaqah is protecting him. When they come from his feet, you can't come from this way either. So those angels will ask him to sit up. And I'm going to tell you more details about this later tonight. The angels will tell him, sit up, because we can't yank him up because he's being protected. So please, sit up. When he sits up, the first thing he will ask is, let me pray. Let me pray. And the angels will say, you'll have time for that. There'll be plenty of time for that. First, you need to answer my three questions. Man Rabbuk, who is your Lord? And this person whom Allah Azza wa Jal has given a istiqamatul janan, a steadfast heart, will respond immediately, Rabbi Allah. I have no doubt about that. They will say, how do you know this information? How do you know this information? He will say, because I read the book of Allah. I believed in it. And I affirm it this day. The angels will say, وَمَا دِينُكَ? What was your religion? My religion was Islam. I lived my life the way Allah wanted me to. وَمَا نَبِيُّكَ? Who is your prophet? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is my messenger. Then they will lay this. After these three questions, a voice from above the seven heavens will respond, Sadaq al-Abdi, my slave has spoken the truth. My slave spoke the truth. Open his grave for him. Open his grave for him after they squeezed and hugged him. Open it for him. Furnish his grave with furnishings from Jannah. A door will be opened to him for hellfire. And it will be said, if you had disobeyed Allah, this would be your place. And it will be closed to never be opened again. Then another door will be opened to Jannah. And it will be said, because of your belief in Allah, this is your home now. And the fragrance of Jannah will come in. And someone will come every morning and evening to remind him, this is your home. Then a beautiful, handsome person will come in and sit next to him or her. And that person is so beautiful that the person in the grave will say, who are you? I've never seen something so beautiful as you. It will say, I am your good deeds. I am your good deeds to keep you company to the day of judgment. What a beautiful companion. But you know what? That companion is being created right now by what you're doing in this life. Right now you are creating this incident for yourselves if you do the right thing. What was it that was in your life that blinded you from the straight path of Allah? What is it that you put in your life that kept you from the Sirat al-Mustaqim? What was it that caused you to have no interest in making provisions for the long journey of akhirah that's waiting you? He said, when the believing servant reaches the end of his stay in this sijn, this prison that he's been encapsulated in for his entire life, when the believer reaches the end of that, angels with bright faces descend and they sit down in front of him as far as he can see. And then the angel of death comes and sits next to his head and says, O soul tayyibah, O good soul, O purified soul, come out to the mercy of Allah and His great reward. You see, that's the last words the believer will hear in this life. Someone, as Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in Surah Al-Fusilat, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهَ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا, that those who say they believe in Allah and they remain steadfast, that angels will descend at their death and they will tell them three things. لَا تَخَافُوا, don't be afraid. وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا, don't even be sad. Don't even be worried. Don't have any stress today. وَأَبْشِرُوا, but have glad tidings بِالْجَنَّةِ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُعَدُونَ, of the Jannah that was promised to you by Allah. He stood next to the grave and told them a story. He said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, seek refuge with Allah from the punishment of the grave. He told them, seek refuge with Allah from the punishment of the grave. And they said, A'udhu billahi min adhab al-qabr. He taught us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to never pray one salah without finishing it, but asking Allah Azza wa Jal from the trials of life and death and the punishment of the grave. So he was standing in this grave and he told us this, and then he told us to sit down. So we sat down as if we had birds on top of our heads, meaning that they were paying extreme attention. For the disbeliever, for the person who disobeyed Allah to so much extent in their life that their good deeds can't do them any good anymore, for that person, when this taste of death reaches them, angels will descend with dark faces and they will line up in front of him as far or her as far as they can see. Then the angel of death will come with a shroud from Jahannam of stinking, smelling sackcloth of the harshest, worst fibers that any human being can ever imagine. And the angel sits next to this person's head. And the person sees this. He sees all of it. She sees all of it. No one around can see this. But they're watching. They're seeing it. People are seeing this instantaneously. Every second of every day, someone is seeing this incident happen. How? Wallahu a'lam, we don't even know nor care to ask. It's happening. Then the angel says, O soul khabitha, O dirty, filthy soul, come out to the anger of Allah in His wrath. And the soul realizes what is about to happen to it, so it seeks to escape this and it runs around in the body. Then the angel of death has no choice but to reach in and snatch it out. And the Prophet ﷺ said it's like taking a stick of thorns, placing it in a wet ball of wool or a ball of wool and just pulling it back out. It just tears everything. The pain is so intense that on the day of judgment, the pain of this death will still be visible on the people's faces when they're resurrected. At the time of Bani Israel, there were a few pious people who went to a graveyard and they made dua to Allah to bring someone from those graves to tell them their experience. And so a person was brought out of the grave and he said, what is the matter with you? Why did you bring me out for this? I have been dead over 100 years and the pain of that death just now subsided from me. Put me back. So that soul is ripped out and the angels don't want to touch it. No one wants to touch it. They grab it and they just immediately shove it into that cloth. No one is going to touch it nor smell it because it smells, as the Prophet ﷺ says, of one of the most stinking, foul corpses of the earth. Then they take that soul and try to ascend to Allah Azza wa Jal, and they ask for entry into the first heaven. And they say, who is this? They'll say, this is so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, calling him by his worst names, calling him by the worst of names. Then a voice will be heard from among the 7 heavens. Allah Azza wa Jal will respond, send it back. Send it back, despised and rejected into the day of judgment. It can't even enter in. Allah says, send it back. So they throw it and fling it back into the ground. And the Prophet ﷺ said, it is whoever assigns a partner to Allah, it is as if he is fallen from the sky and the birds have snatched him or the winds have just flung him away. That is what is waiting for them. And then when they reach back to their grave, these 2 angels, Munkar and Nakir, come in, and this person has no protection from them. This person has no protection from them. So they just snatch him up. And they ask him, Man Rabbuk? And they're not going to wait around for you to think. They don't want you to figure it out. They're going to say, Man Rabbuk? Who is your Lord? Tell me now. They'll say, I don't know. Money, myself, my family, my job. That was my Rabb. That's what I served. What you served is what your heart is going to speak. There's no lying in the akhirah. You're going to be honest. Man Rabbuk, my Lord was Jesus. Rap, movies, movie stars, whatever it was, that's what you're going to say. And they're going to smash you over the head with a hammer that will turn you into dust. And when you scream, the Prophet ﷺ said, every living thing on earth except humans and jinn hear it. And I would let you hear what's going on in the graves. The Prophet ﷺ said, but if I did so, I'm afraid you would never bury anyone ever again. Then they put him back together, sit him up again. وَمَا دِينُكَ? What was your religion? I don't know, Christianity, Buddhism, atheism. Myself. Smashed again. 3rd time, وَمَا نَبِيُّكَ? وَمَا نَبِيُّكَ? Who is your prophet? They will say, I don't know, I heard the people say such and such about such and such. That's all I know. It's not good enough. They smash him and sit him back down. And Allah Azza wa Jal says, my soul, my slave is a liar. He's a liar. And the grave squeezed him when he came in and it doesn't let him go. And then Allah Azza wa Jal says, place his soul, his record in Sijjin. Place his record in Sijjin, because that's where he's going. That's where he will end up, in a prison for the rest of his life, for the rest of his existence, for the rest of eternity. So place his record where it belongs. And then a door to Jannah is opened in his grave. And it is told that had you believed, this would be your resting place. And then that door closes to never be opened again, ever. Then a door to Jahannam is opened, and it is said, because of your actions, this is where you will reside. And they furnish his home from Jahannam, his new home, his grave. And he is told every morning and every evening, this is where you will rest. And then an evil, ugly, filthy looking person comes and sits next to the head. And this person in the grave says, who are you? I've never seen something so awful. I've never seen something so ugly, so despicable. That person will say, I am your bad deeds to keep you company until the day of judgment. I am now your companion until Yawm al-Qiyamah. You see, these are 2 different endings. 2 different ways of entering into the realities of Akhirah. But they're quite different. They're quite different. They're polar opposites. There couldn't be any 2 different things. But those things are being decided right now. How you will meet your death, you're deciding it today. Which one of these 2 deaths wait for you is being played out right now in your life. Every choice you make, every decision you take, you are setting yourself up for one of these 2 endings. And only you and Allah Azza wa Jal know which one of those 2 you're setting yourselves up for.